Alright guys, today we have Biegler Rockstyle. This is one of his V2 models, the newer models that has the larger 3/16 pivots, and these are steel 664 pivot screws, which is a vast improvement over the 1/8" pivots he was using. Unboxing and initial impressions were pretty good. Anodization was incredible. I love this color. Even and consistent the whole way through. Grind is just goes without saying that. It's fantastic. Although I will say that here where the edge meets your Zen cup was really sharp. I did knock that down a little bit just to make it a little more comfortable to flip. But other than that, fit and finish was so-so. Not gonna lie and say it was incredible, but wasn't horrible. And I would say it's also worth noting that I bought this knife secondhand. I'm not the first owner, but I know the guy who I did buy it from was a collector, wasn't even a flipper, so never got abused. I don't even think it got flipped at all. It never even got tuned from brand new before I got it, I don't think, but pretty solid, not too bad. It came with a latch on it, which I took off because fuck latches, but you had to take the handles apart to get the latch off because it had like a floating pin in there versus the screw that the V1s had, so the handles do have to come apart. And I will say too that there was a lot of Loctite. There was like an unnecessary amount of Loctite on body screws, not even the pivot screws, on like the body screws and the Zen screws, the Zen pin screws. But yeah, those spacer body screws, they're gonna want to spin on you, and there was a lot of Loctite, so that latch was a bitch to get off. Alright, so a minute or two ago, you heard me mention how the fit and finish when I unboxed this knife was so-so, which is I'm gonna elaborate on that now because it wasn't the anodization. There was no sharp edges. Everything was nice and even. Nothing's crooked. My grind is nice and even. What the problem was the bushings were cut just a little bit too small for the blade stock. So you couldn't even thumb tight the pivot screws without the handles wanting to bind up on you. So I ordered a new set of bushings from USA Knife Maker. The ones I ordered, they're the same bushings that would fit a rep or your dog bite 3.1. It's going to be those same bushings. They are 0.187 inside diameter, 0.25 outside diameter, and they come 0.127 inches long. They come oversized for what you need, and then you grind them or sand them to shape. When I did that, I didn't have a caliper or a pivot lap to do it, so it was only like 1 or 2 thousandths of an inch that I even needed to take off. So I just kind of like did a little bit, put it back together, test fit, take it back out, sand a little more off, rinse and repeat until I got it right where I wanted it. And I have this thing. It has less play than my Thai Basilisk R does, and every single screw is cranked down tight now, isn't being held in by fucking Teflon tape, which that's how it was when I first got it and tuned it. I couldn't tighten anything down. I couldn't tighten down the Zen pin screws, my pivot screws, nothing. But now everything is nice and tight, good to go. Definitely worth either have a modder put like properly sized and fitted bushings in, or if you can do it yourself, just do that. It is well worth it because this thing is fucking amazing now. It is solid and it feels like a totally different knife than when it was being held together by Teflon tape. Which, I mean, for what the knife cost, and it being a mid-tech custom, whatever you want to call it, I shouldn't have to do that. It should come brand new that way, but it's neither here nor there. But if you get this knife, definitely try and get one with the 3/16 pivots, and definitely either size and fit new bushings yourself or pay somebody to do it, because it is a worthy investment. This thing is amazing. Now that it has new bushings that are sized and fitted properly. Alright, so we're going to talk about flipping. Flipping wise, I am falling in love with this knife more and more with each day. I've had it for about, say, 2 weeks now. So it's safe to say that I'm still in the honeymoon phase of owning this knife. But now that I have those properly fitted bushings in, it is just a beast. It feels solid, it feels like a tank. Balance wise, I want to say it's probably pretty close to like where an Infinity would be balance wise. Just a slight bit of handle bias, which is really right where I like it. Very similar to my Alpha Beast Infinity as far as balance is concerned. One thing worth noting is that when I sized the bushings, I did notice that your Zen pins are just 1/8 inch shafts the whole way through, instead of like on a replicant where they're stepped and they have the shoulder and they're like a larger diameter in the middle between the handle slabs, you know, or liners. But if the Zen pins had shoulders on them, you'd be able to execute much tighter tolerances. Everything would be a little tighter. I think so, at least. Because that was one thing that I was having trouble with when I sized the bushings, was that I had to be sure that it wasn't going to bind up when the pivot screws were tight, just the same as the Zen pin screws being tight. Because, the Zen pin screws being just a solid shaft the whole way through, they want to bind up too if they're too tight. So the bushings really had to be like the perfect size. It took a lot of trial and error. But now we've got it to where no rub, no tap, flips like a beast, swings completely freely, smooth. Not too bad. So guys, in conclusion, I'm gonna say that for what this knife costs, and it being a custom or mid-tech, whichever way you want to call it, it shouldn't have the issues that it did when I got mine. But granted, after saying that, if you're willing to get it and put the time, have the work done to make it tight and nice and solid, it is worth its weight in gold and then some. Maybe not gold, but I really like it. Comfortable, balanced beautifully, sharp, sexy. I've lusted after one of these since I first started flipping about 1.5 years ago, and it took me a really long time to track one down and get one. Every time that Brian did a drop, I seem to miss it by just a day or two, as far as financially making the drop. But I had the money and I messaged him, and he was real cool about it. He sent me to someone who just bought a few of them and was cool enough to sell me one of those from the most recent drop. I'm not going to drop any names, just out of respect. But yeah, I really like it. It's comfortable. Now, I thought, looking at how round the handles are, let's check the play while we're here on those bushings I got fitted. but I thought the handles were going to be really round just because I had only ever seen them in pictures. But while they are round, the way that, you know, they're milled, because of the way the hole pattern is cut, and I don't know if you can see that. There we go. The way the hole pattern is cut, it makes it very, very comfortable. I have no problems with feeling like it's too round or anything. When I had my my balisong, that felt too round. There was no way to index on the handles at all. The texture was nice, the texture was good and grippy, but there was no way to index except for, you know, just the slot in the channel for the blade. That was the only thing you had really to index with. So overall, very happy with this knife. Although I don't know if I would be so happy with it with the way the tolerances were stock. It's only after I refitted bushings and got everything tuned the way I like it, nice and solid, very little play, everything cranked down nice and tight, not being held together by Teflon tape, that I'm really, really falling in love with this knife, as a flipper at least. I really, really enjoy it though. I almost did forget to mention that the handles are 5.4 inches. Your blade on this beast is 4.4 inches, and your weight is 4.7 ounces, but that weight is with a latch on it, so if I'm not mistaken, the latch is I want to say titanium, I believe. I'm not 100% sure on that, so don't crucify me if I'm wrong. And so, just show you guys a little flipping. Sure you guys know this, but flipping first person is really, really hard. Fingerprints all over it. There are some there is a little bit of blade rub on there because no matter how hard I tried, before I resized new bushings for it, I just could not get it to have no rub and no tap. No matter what I did, it would not fully go away. It was basically like just being on washers before I, you know, fitted properly sized new bushings for this guy here. Alright guys, this was my first balisong review for the Biegler Rockstyle. Let me know what you guys think, because I can have lots more coming if you want. So you let me know what you want. You let me know in the comments down below if you liked